Hello everyone, welcome back to another Think Tank Thursday episode. For those who are new here, my name is Ashni. I'm a mindset coach for high performing women to help them simplify their life, prioritize those priorities to reduce the feelings of stress, anxiety, overwhelmed, and create more space to live in the present and kind of dictate what you want to do and how you want to do it. Today's episode is going to be about journaling, or the importance of taking things out of your brain and putting it on paper. Journaling is a label. For those of you who know me, I don't like labels as much on things. So it's more the fact that I wanted to emphasize the importance of taking things out of your brain and putting it on paper, so it's not just a thought going on in your head. It is now a written sentence, phrase, word on a sheet of paper, because it helps you organize things. It helps you remove the sense of kind of chaos and noise in your brain, and allows you for more clarity on whatever you are looking to achieve, solve, or just to feel a little bit better. For the purpose of this video, I am going to call it journaling. This is my journal. I made a commitment to myself that earlier this year I was going to journal every single day, and I was not going to put constraints on it, again, because I don't like the label of journaling. I never have. I've never journaled before. It just never really sat right with me. It was one of those things where people were like, oh, well, you should try journaling. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But for those of you who know my story a little bit, I am a physician assistant. I am still practicing, but I started my own business to help women on a bigger scale with kind of organizing, simplifying their lives. And through my own experience with journaling, I have found that this is such an important practice. So we're talking about it tonight. The style of journaling depends on what you want to achieve. The way I started out was by just dumping my thoughts onto paper. I am a high performing woman. I have so many things that I was doing all the time, and I needed a place for me to just empty my thoughts onto a piece of paper, get it out of my brain so that I could go to sleep or get on with my day or whatever it may be. So I started out with just usually recapping what I did that day, thoughts and feelings about that day, and use it as a free-for-all brain dump. There was no organization. There was no sort of prompts that I was following, because I didn't want the commitment, if you will, to following a scheduled process of what I was supposed to be writing. How are you supposed to journal? Well, it turns out that no one really cares how you're supposed to journal. It can be used in so many different ways. So we started with that. We did that for several months, and then we transitioned to a 30-day challenge based on the book, The Third Door, which is a great book. I really enjoyed reading it. It essentially encourages you to live your life based on the concept of possibilities and the fact that there's always a third door, right? So the way you see your world and what you're trying to do, you have oftentimes like option A, option B. Well, there's always an option C, but sometimes you just have to change the way you see things, zoom out a little bit, think about who you know, and go in a different direction, and you can still get to whatever goal you're trying to achieve without going through those initial pathways. So this 30-day challenge was prompt based, and I found it was very difficult for me to stick to a schedule where I knew I had to, because of my pride and stubbornness, I had to journal every single day for 30 days. It actually had the opposite effect. I was pretty good at journaling daily beforehand when it was a brain dump, but during this challenge, I found the added pressure of having to show up for myself to journal, and I had an accountability group, so to join up for them, I mean, I fell off the wagon. I must have missed like a cumulative amount of 2 weeks out of these 30 days. So I knew that that was not the direction I wanted to go in. However, it is helpful for some people to have a challenge where they say, okay, well, I'm going to ask myself these same 2 or 3 questions every single day. and I'm gonna make it a challenge, and let's go. Since then, it went back to being kind of a brain dump situation. A lot of times I would talk about what I was grateful for that day, and then I would make anxiety lists, and so I would write down things that I was anxious about in personal life, work life, whatever it was that came up, things that were bothering me, and kind of told myself, all right, so once I'm pulling it out of my brain and putting it onto paper, it's no longer going to cause me anxiety. There's no point in mulling over this thing over and over again. It's now on paper, we acknowledge it's there, and we can move on, which I found very helpful. And then more recently, I've decided to find some sort of happy medium here, where it's not just a brain dump, but it's also a kind of guided thing that allows me to expand my mind a little bit more. And this is based off The Gap in the Gain that I am currently reading, also a great book, completely recommend it. But basically the new journaling sequence is going to be every morning and every night you pick up your journal, and in the mornings you write down 3 goals, no more than 3. So only 3 things that you want to accomplish that day, or your goals for the day. And you don't do more than that. This is not a to-do list. This is not a brain dump of all the things you have to do and you no. This is 1, 2, 3 goals for the day, and that's it. And then in the evening, you look back on your day and you reassess those goals, but you find 3 things that went well that day. So these can be in the form of gratitudes people talk about. I call them happy things. Some people call them what are your wins for the day. Basically any 3 positive things that went well that day, you're gonna write those down. Then you're going to write down 3 goals you have for the next day. And what that allows you to do is put your mind in a state of saying, okay, look at what I've succeeded in. What was I successful at today? What did I gain today? And now let's look forward to tomorrow. And that's going to keep me hyped. That's going to keep me motivated. That's going to keep me focused on whatever goal you're trying to hit for tomorrow. You don't hold yourself to these goals. Again, these are not to-do lists. That way, if you don't get to it, it's not a failure. When you go look at your journal at the end of the day, you recap the day, you check in with yourself, but you write down the 3 things that went well that day. You don't say, oh, well, my goals this morning were X, Y, Z, and I only got to X. So tomorrow I'm going to try to do what? No. You're going to write down 3 things that went well. And then if you want to repeat goals for tomorrow, that's keeping up the motivation and preventing senses of overwhelm and the daunting task of needing to stick to your to-do list, because this is not that. So this is something I learned recently. It's something that I'm exploring here. But the thing that I like about journaling is it doesn't have to come with any constraints. It is literally whatever you want to make it be. And I think there's so much power in emptying your brain onto a piece of paper. Whether or not you go back and read all these entries is completely up to you. Personally, I've dog-eared a couple of the pages where my brain dumps was something that has positively impacted my life. Something like really significant happened. I've dog-eared those. That way in the future, if I choose to go back and read through this, those are some of the things that I'm trying to highlight for my future self. So this is my journal. I encourage you to get some sort of journal, buy yourself some new pens, some colored pens, whatever it is to get you a little bit excited, and then place your journal somewhere where you know in the morning or the evening you are going to be. For me, this is my cozy room. I do a lot of my Instagram filming in here, so y'all have seen like parts of this room. And this is where I keep my journal, because this is my space where I can mentally relax and be creative and get organized and such. I'm using it as like a home office. So that's all I got for you. This is a longer Think Tank Thursday episode, but I've really been feeling this whole journaling thing after so many years of being resistant for whatever reason. I've decided that there's no reason why I shouldn't try new things, and so this was one of the things I told myself for a whole calendar year. I'm going to be doing this. I'm about 6 months in now, which is really exciting. I'm not perfect. I have certainly not journaled every single day, but I've gone through seasons and learned some things about myself, which is really neat that I wouldn't have learned had I not started. That concludes Think Tank Thursday for this week. If you have any other suggestions or want to chat with me about anything, you guys know my DMs are open. I look forward to hearing from you, and we will talk again next week. Bye.